Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink.
I got you.
Let's go.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition here of the Man of Steel podcast with, of course, yours truly, Charles Prodigy Richey. And getting ready to stick with it on this championship weekend. That just concluded. Right now, we got the Super Bowl 55 matchup set up in Tampa for right now. As you can see, the Buccaneers right now are going to be the first team ever in history to host the Super Bowl at their home stadium. Tom Brady, once again, now going to his record 10th Super Bowl, most by any quarterback in the history of this game. No question about it. We're here to talk a little bit more about that. Hear my thoughts on the conclusion of the AFC and NFC championship game. And I'll give you my Super Bowl prediction a little bit later on the show. But let's real quickly get into the first game right there. And Aaron Rodgers definitely seems like a very dejected man following that game. Definitely can't blame him after that right now. A big-time uncertain future right now where he's going to be sticking around with. And I don't know if it's going to be with the Packers or is he going to step down and retire right now. Definitely, I felt in that game, I mean, you saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, definitely doing real well. I think they were -1 in the turnover ratio, but still able to drop Aaron Rodgers 5 times in that game right there. I really felt like the defensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were able to impose their will right there. They could see what Devin White does on a daily basis. I mean, being selected in the same year out of the 2019 draft class from Devin Bush right there. So you see where it is right now, and you look at that at the end of the day, Tom Brady right now is just one more step away from eclipsing Belichick right now with more Super Bowl rings. And if he's able to do that, I think you could say he's finished the job at that point where it was Brady more success than Belichick. I still argue Belichick at the end of the day. Like I said, it was -1 in turnover ratio for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll do a large part courtesy to Tom Brady throwing 3 interceptions. I mean, you saw in that game right there, too. I mean, aside from that, I mean, the Buccaneers in that game, they're perfect in the red zone in that area, 2 for 2. Packers converted 50% of their red zone trips, 2 for 4 in that contest right there. And like I said, too, I mean, you look at, like, everything, what the Buccaneers are able to do. I mean, Devin White led the game with 15 total tackles right there. And then you saw three of the sacks coming by Shaquille Barrett and 2 by Jason Pierre-Paul right there. Now, one of the other stories that was noticeably going into this game was Dominican Sue right here. He finished up with 2 tackles and a quarterback hit. He made one huge play. I think I'm not sure when it was, but like in the second half where a ball was tipped off his hands. I want to probably say second quarter when those cut 14-10. But definitely right there. I mean, the tone center was out. I mean, aside from that.
Athea Americana.
Nah.
Look at the half.
Marking seam off.
What about a Prunga Elevation?
I've just never seen one associate with an honest Platyringus before.
I mean, when you saw the end of the second half right there.
What kind of bird has
where
teeth?
Brady was able to launch like a 39-yard touchdown pass.
How
the conclusion.
do you not go for it?
21-10.
On fourth.
The Green Bay Packers, I think they played cover 1 in that situation right there by the Packers defensive core there in that contest right there. And the defensive coordinator, Mike Pettin, right there. I mean, definitely a lot of people will question that play right there. I mean, when they went up 21-10, just looked like they just totally lazily gave up on that right there. And you saw Sky Miller, who had the touchdown pass from Tom Brady for 39 yards, was able to go up 21-10. They start off the second half with a turnover about 8 yard at their 8-yard line of Green Bay. Tampa Bay was able to punch it in automatically. I mean, real quickly. I mean, you look at one of the heroes, I mean, like the star guys on this team right here. I mean, you see Chris Godwin right here, who had 110 yards off of 5 receptions. And Mike Evans, I think, right there, I mean, he was a little bit concerned right there. He had some drop passes or some balls that were chipped that were coming his way, and they got picked off a few times right there. I mean, you saw what the Green Bay Packers were able to do. I mean, within those areas right there. But still, I think right now, definitely right now with the Super Bowl matchup. And then now you look at 10 nothing, but they missed their and I think they just started the same team. Once they were able to warm up and rattle off 2 straight touchdowns.
Do you not go for
in
it
this game?
on 4th and goal
Right now, I mean,
with Aaron
the
Rodgers
Kansas
as
City
your
Chiefs right now going to be out with some key injuries going into the Super Bowl right now. As we look at it,
I was going with Tampa all year long. I jumped off the
and more in particular with their tackle positions as we look at it.
Man. And I stand by that. It's cool.
Right now,
I ain't hurt by Tom Brady being in the Super
the
Bowl.
Chiefs
I'm
right now,
going
they're playing the Tampa the day before Super Bowl 55.
But it's how things happen. It's how things go down. They
really
really get to you.
As
Kevin
we
King
look
let
at it,
Scotty Miller get behind him with 8 seconds left. 8 seconds left in the half.
either way, Tom Brady and the Bucs will be waiting, but still, I mean, you look at it right now, with everything going on in the situation right now. Definitely, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it's a great matchup. I was saying on my other show,
because it's ignorant and stupid. Is that worse?
Your quarterback matchup you couldn't go wrong with, but let's be honest. I think definitely see one right now. Is definitely, I think, Mahomes versus Brady. The rematch.
Listening to those damn analytics, people.
I mean, in this contest
the
right
analytics numbers will tell you the story.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers pretty much got trounced for most of the game. They will make a legitimate comeback
and let him
in that contest right there.
But that's not the Green Bay.
I mean, for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and this was back in, let's see.
I don't give a damn about their regular
when they faced the Kansas City Chiefs back in week 12
Matt
right there.
Taking them
that game
back-to-back NFC Championship game.
24-27.
It doesn't mean anything.
Contest right there. You saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers within that game. They trailed as many as their largest deficit of that game was 17 points right there. 17
to rely on your suspect
first, and then of course once again 27-10. Only see the Buccaneers rally off 2 straight touchdowns right there.
Matt Fleur's and
when you look at each caught by Mike Evans, a 31-yard pass from Tom Brady, and then a 7-yard pass from Brady in that game. And when you look at too, I mean, within that contest, when you look at one of the biggest things here too, I mean,
Conor McGregor announces his return. He's back, and I brought my whole country with me.
And like I said, one of the things right now too, you got Aaron Rodgers right now.
Can you just put into words what it's
future with Green Bay is uncertain right now.
All those critics
I know
and
a lot of you guys are. I know what you're thinking right now. Is there any chance the Steelers will want try and trade for Aaron Rodgers right now? I mean, we already heard last week about possibly thinking the idea of possibly trading a guy for a guy like Desean Watson with multiple first-round picks or a couple of players of
and now home Super Bowl for the first time in NFL history. I think puts a lot of cool things in perspective. Anytime you get something. It's usually a pretty good thing. So
when we look at it, I mean,
have great
within that contest right there,
be ready to go.
Aside from 2 players caliber equal a first round picks, but at the end of the day, right now, listen, I'm just not so sure the Steelers are going to be ones that are going to be willing to mortgage their future right now. I mean, I just don't see that being too much a reality right there. I mean, you got guys. I mean, you're more concerned with how much Ben Roethlisberger, the cap hit he's going to carry. More likely, that's going to definitely get reduced by extending him. I mean, you do have a $41.25 million cap hit for right now, and what you do with the remaining of that money. So if you're able to extend him right now and push that money further down the line right now, I'm just not so sure what that's going to translate into. How much more they will be able to get that cap lowered by. Because I definitely do feel like right now, I mean, at the end of the day, it's definitely going to take a lot behind the scenes talking right now, and really as a unit right now with Mike Tomlin, Kevin Colbert, and Ben Roethlisberger sitting down. And you know what? To be honest, at the end of the day, say what you will about Ben Roethlisberger, how slow he's gotten. I mean, trying to move and run and throw the ball. I understand that part. But I mean, at the end of the day, if it's got to be one more year, why not? I at the same time, I mean, you really don't have no legitimate answers with Mason Rudolph. At the end of the day, too, Pittsburgh Steelers right now, they are slotted to be in the 24th position of the NFL draft coming up. So I definitely feel like right there, you got a lot of stuff there on the table right there. I mean, yeah, they're going to be 24th overall in the first round. Now, the question is, too, will it be possible that they could probably trade up a few spots? I'm not sure if that's going to be highly likely, but who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is a team right now, like I said, I don't think you really want to mortgage too much in the future. Don't want to do anything that's going to set you off. But I mean, at the same time, it is really, truthfully, how you draft at the end of the day. When they did trade up, I think back for 2003 for Polamalu, they were able to get up to the 16th spot overall in the first round. So that's where we stand at right there. I just quite frankly do not see that happening right now. I mean, the biggest priority right now is trying to get TJ Watt taken care of right now. And then that's another story in itself right there. You have Mark Madden, a 105.9, the X right there in Pittsburgh, was making a claim that TJ Watt did not attend his exit interviews whatsoever at the end right now, which I definitely found kind of very bizarre right now. And I'm not sure if there's anything more to it going between the lines at that point. He definitely felt like he was angry about something that he just said. Send my stuff to Wisconsin. I'm out of here. Watt was able to respond back to that on Twitter, according to Pro Football Talk. Would love to hear who Mark's sources are. They certainly can't be myself, Coach Tomlin, Kevin Colbert, or Keith Butler, all of whom I met with during exit interviews prior to packing my things after a hard-fought season, trying to give everything I have for the city of Pittsburgh. And he was more referring to him skipping Zoom meetings and just exit interviews. But Mark Cabali, too, also of The Athletic, is part of Mark's claim. He says that I know he went through the exit interview in person. He met with trainers. He met with everyone he needed to meet with. And to be honest, I'm not sure what to think right now. I got to believe it's just definitely a frustrating offseason. I'm not sure if I'm going to read too much into it. But at the same time, nothing is promised at the end of the day. I mean, let's just be real about that. And when we take a look at where the situation is, I mean, right now, I mean, just thankfully, luckily able to hold on to a guy like Kevin Colbert, not let him see him go anywhere. But at the end of the day, too, I mean, this is what, I mean, this guy is providing for this team. I mean, it's still, if anything, I got a lot more of a question for him. Is he going to be still staying around beyond 2021? Is he going to want to walk off, go to another team, or just call it a career at this point? Because I tell you what, I mean, right now, I mean, like Cam Hayward would said, nobody's job is safe. And I think that's just being real and upfront after that ugly playoff exit to the Browns right there. Now, I mean, this offseason is pretty much like a black hole right now, where a lot of us don't really know, I mean, what's going to exactly happen. You got a lot of uncertainties right here, no promises, and hardly next to any optimism. But other than the fact that I will just say, I mean, right now we got the salary cap updated at supposed to be about 180 million across the board, as opposed to 175 million, 5-point difference. So, I mean, let's get into some other stuff too. I mean, within this right now, I mean, some of the biggest topics, I mean, heading into, I mean, this past weekend was the announcement of the retirement of Vance McDonald right here. who actually played 8 seasons in the NFL as a tight end, which he played 4 seasons apiece with the 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers right here. Vance McDonald, I mean, I think he was a fun guy to watch. Definitely a good, loyal teammate. Made some great catches every now and then, but just wasn't too much available a lot more times than what we expected. And right now, I mean, it's still, the sad thing is that it's really disappointing. There's been no true, legitimate guy to step forward since Heath Miller retired over 5 years ago. And I think that's just a real, like, head scratcher. How can you not get that taken care of right now here? And I think that is a huge gaping hole that continues to stare his team in the face. You have not had any consistency in that area. And I don't know. I mean, right now, I mean, you still got questions right now. I mean, going into this draft right now. So the Steelers start off with an offensive lineman, a running back, or maybe even an outside linebacker, or a tight end. Who knows? I mean, the biggest thing, like I said, well, we always keep preaching about, you always want to draft the best available player that's in front of you. And I definitely do feel like they will get that right. But for right now, I mean, this is the situation we are looming right now. And I think the biggest question is to, aside from the transactions been going on right now, too, don't forget, too, Jerry Dulac said the Steelers are talking to Mike Sullivan, a former offensive coordinator and quarterback coach with the Giants and Broncos, about coming the quarterback source per source. Remember, we learned yesterday, I heard too through Andrew Filipponi of 93.7 The Fan, that the Steelers have decided to promote Matt Canada to the offensive coordinator position. Now, I mean, Matt Canada right now and the relationship between Ben Roethlisberger, this will be the interesting part right now. Can Matt Canada be able to sell to Ben Roethlisberger what you saw earlier on in the season, a few running sweep plays with the receivers, running backs? I mean, it didn't seem like Ben Roethlisberger was a fan of that too much. I mean, definitely he passed it a lot more. I mean, versus like handing off to guys like Connor or Snell. And you could definitely spin that both ways. I mean, was it that the offensive line was that bad, the running game was not that good? Or did Ben Roethlisberger want to put all on his back and carry this team? I mean, was it the point that maybe we could argue right now when we look at him, did he feel like this was his MVP moment, his Hall of Fame defining moment, alone? I mean, but yet, I mean, at the same time, too, I mean, you have one guy from Mason Rudolph saying that I've learned a lot from Ben. I've learned a lot from Randy Fichtner. I learned a lot from Matt Canada, Rudolph said. Having the quarterback coach this year has been big. As a quarterback, mentally, physically, there are things you work on. It's been great. I mean, he's going to be another guy in question right now. And what's going to happen with Dwayne Haskins? Remember, he signed a futures, reserves and future contract right now, a contract that does not count towards the top 51 contracts of the 53-man roster. Those are low risk, high reward type of signing right here. I mean, this guy is a former first-round draft pick right here. I mean, Dwayne Haskins coming out University of Ohio State. I mean, I get it. I mean, he's definitely had the personal issues going on. I mean, with the Washington football team right now. I mean, who knows? I mean, can the Steelers possibly find a gem in this guy right now? I mean, do they got their quarterback in the future? I'm going to have to say no on this one. We're getting the fair or foul right now. I mean, that's still a lot of unknown right now. I think he's definitely got talent. I think he's got, the arm. Because when you really look at his college stats right now, what he's been able to do, I mean, in his final year with Ohio State, which was a sophomore year, he threw for 4,831 yards in 14 games, had 50 touchdowns to 8 interceptions right there, which was incredibly phenomenal right there. And you saw Ohio State that year was able to wrap up, their year in the Rose Bowl, in which they won 28-23. And in that game, Dwayne Haskins right there, he threw 25 of 37, completing about 68% of his passes for 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in that contest. So I just give you an idea right now. Yeah, I mean, it sounds a little bit what? I mean, type of signing we got right now. I mean, are we going to see like another part of drama coming into this town? I'm not sure. I don't believe that's going to be the case, but I definitely believe he is definitely worth a look right now, especially when you got a guy like Duck Hodges right now, who is now with the LA Rams. And speaking of more notable changes right now, as we take a look at it, don't forget. I mean, when we looked at it here, they also hired Alfredo Roberts as the new tight ends coach following the retirement of James Daniel. Roberts, he played in the NFL, he's starting his 17th season coaching in the league. He spent the previous 4 seasons with the LA Chargers as their running backs coach. Just to give you an idea. So let's see how this pays off right here. Right now, I definitely don't see why this can't be a great move right here. But when you look at it right now, it'd be interesting to see what happens, because I think James Daniel, if I'm not mistaken, he was there in Cowers 3 years. So let's see what happens on that front right there. And right now, I mean, when you look at it too, I mean, Brian Backo, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, in reaction to Ben Roethlisberger's reaction towards Vance McDonald's retirement, we were both super sad. We embraced a very manly, in a very manly way. He was crying. I hope he's not upset that I said that. But right now, let's see what happens too, because you still got to get a coach right now hired for the offensive line. Remember, the biggest philosophy that Mike Tomlin was saying, he wants to have his offensive line coach on the same page with his offensive coordinator right here. So let's see what happens right now. So on my last topic of fair or foul right now, TJ Watt will get a new contract. I'm going to still have to say yes. I'm not going to really buy too much into what Mark Mann said real quickly. But before we get out of here real quickly, Adam Schefter real quick, I just want to just note right now, he listed right yesterday about 15 quarterbacks who he feels like futures are uncertain right now. I'll just give you a quick rundown right now. Number one, we have Desean Watson right now, who has a career win-loss percentage of 29-27 with Houston Texans. He is going to be accounting for a $15.9 million cap hit. I don't know. That's going to be iffy right there. I would have to say yes for right now. I do expect him to be dealt, and we'll see what happens. I think he's going to get people, his agent, he's going to get people talking, so let's find out about that. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers right now, this one is definitely murky right now, especially, I mean, with an organization. Definitely advise Aaron Rodgers to just shut up and play. We'll run the show here. And drafting his replacement right there, more than likely in the first round. I mean, set a lot earlier tone right there. Aaron Rodgers completely worked his butt off this year to get where he's at. I expect him to be awarded the league MVP at the awards ceremony, but right now, a very dejected man right there. All I just got to just say, not going for it on 4th and going, electing to kick the field goal. I don't care if you have 4 timeouts altogether with the 2-minute warning. You're talking about at least 2 first downs to like definitely put the game away. Not one, I'd say at least 2 first downs right there within that point. Very foolish. Not a big fan of it at all. And electing to kick the ball back off to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, you're just asking for it. I mean, you're really asking a lot of your defense in that moment. And even if you did allow first down, how much clock you be losing off that clock? I don't care if you get all 3 timeouts. You're talking about at least 2 first downs to finish that game. Unacceptable in that way. I mean, for that moment, you cannot do that. And you also have like Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott right now. Matt Stafford, he has the 3rd highest cap hit on here with $33 million. Dak Prescott at $31.4 million. They got Sam Darnold, an interesting one, who we heard many a times right now being referenced from the New York Jets. That maybe the Steelers should take a look at, add on my roster. I'm not too sure right now. I just want to see where he's at mentally. I don't want a guy on the team who's saying I see ghosts after getting humiliated against the Patriots the previous season on the Monday night. Then you also got going down the list right now, Carson Wentz right now, whose future is uncertain. I don't think so. I think he's going to still be around with the Eagles right now. I mean, they already kind of made their decision clear. I mean, by letting go of their head coach, Doug Pearson, right there. I think they're on Carson Wentz's team for right now. Definitely want to ride it out with him and see where that goes. I think they still want to give him a little bit more of a leash. You also got Jared Goff right now, who's going to be accounting for nearly $35 million in cap hit. Jimmy Garoppolo, here's another interesting one right here. Both with the Patriots and Niners, I definitely punt on him. I'm not sure if I want to have a guy like Garoppolo on this team. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's been a good system quarterback. But at the same time, too, I think what I'll give a lot of credit to Andrew Filippoli and Chris Muller of 937 The Fan, that each coaches that he went to, he had a nice little coordinators with Josh Daniels and, of course, Kyle Shanahan with some good schemes coming up. So I don't expect him coming to the Steelers, but I do expect him to be somewhere else more than likely. I'm not sure where. Maybe somewhere like the Dallas Cowboys, you could have somewhere down there right now. Maybe the Cowboys. Maybe he goes to Jerry's world. And you also got Cam Newton right now, another guy who's uncertain, a $5.5 million cap hit. Now, should the Steelers take a look at him, possibly add him to their roster? I mean, kind of like what the New Orleans Saints did with Jameis Winston. I mean, this is a guy right now who had to go on some tough love with Bill Belichick. Didn't really work out as well. They finished off 7-9 together. But at the end of the day, too, I think he may not be a bad guy to look at for depth-wise. Let's find out right there. But the name of the game is still clear up cap space. Then, of course, you got Teddy Bridgewater right now, who's going to be accounted for $23 million. Mitch Trubisky, his money is up for grabs right now. He's an unrestricted free agent right now. But according to Spotrac, his market value is supposed to be around $8.3 million. You also got Jameis Winston, once again, speaking of which I just mentioned a moment ago. I think the Saints, they definitely want to see him stick around for another year because of his arm talent. If he can work down the touchdowns interception ratio, heard Ian Rappaport talk about that over almost 2 weeks ago. So I expect him to stick around with the Saints. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm not sure about that. I think it'd stick around with the Dolphins. Be a good support right now for Tua Tagovailoa right there. I mean, they may look at it as a beautiful thing having two good quarterbacks right now on the roster right now. Still a lot of unknowns with Tua, how he's going to continue to grow in the NFL. But so far, I give him a B- in his first year as quarterback right there. You also got Alex Smith right now, who's another unrestricted free agent. But at the same time, too, is Alex Smith going to want to be able to come back for another year after going through the miracle what he had to go through with losing his leg, let alone losing his life? I'm not sure about that. I think right now he's got to have a serious consideration if it's time to step away from this because that's so much pain. And, of course, you got Ben Roethlisberger right now. I don't think his future is uncertain. I think he's going to be sticking around next year. And that's all I got to say for this edition here of the Madden Steel Podcast. Make sure to keep it in tune with me every Mondays and Wednesdays, usually at 6:30 or 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. For the Madden Steel Podcast on Twitter is at Madden Steel CGR and on Instagram at Madden Steel Nation. So always leave it. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.